Now we're going to be dealing with the surface area of rectangular prisms. For the last lecture, I talked about triangular prisms. I said the triangular prisms are basically triangles on top and the bottom. The bases are the same and everything else are rectangles. Now for rectangular prisms, top and bottom are going to be rectangles. So the bases are going to be rectangles and everything else are going to be rectangles as well. So I'm dealing with nothing but rectangles. All right, so top and bottom are rectangles. Let me identify question number 5. The instructions are going to be find a surface area and round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. So that means if you have decimals, make sure you have one decimal place only. So round it if necessary. The bases, here I even identified them with the 90-degree angles and 90-degree corners. So you guys can see the base here at the bottom. And you guys can even see one on the top. I'm not going to highlight it, but you guys can even see it. Now, for the bases, let me draw my two rectangles. For the area of a rectangle, I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at a 90-degree corner. I see my two numbers that meet at 90-degree corner in this case are 8 and 7. So 8 times 7 gives me 56. So each of my bases is 56. Now the base in this case has 4 sides. So if you think of it of a regular bedroom, like I said, there's some variances, but a bedroom, usually the bases are the ceiling and the floor, and they usually have 4 sides. But then when you look around, you have 4 walls. The amount of walls depends on how many sides you have on your bases. So if the bases had, let's just say 20 sides, I guess I'm going to have 20 walls at the sides. All right. Now let me identify the 4 sides of my base. I see one of them is 8, the other one is 7. I'm going to say this other is 8 and this other is 7. I must see the 4 measurements of my base. Now let me identify the height of the bedroom, which is basically the number that has nothing to do with the bases. So in this case, the number that has nothing to do with my base is 4. I'm going to multiply that 4 to each side of my base. To each side. So I'm going to go 4 times 8, 4 times 7, 4 times 8, and 4 times 7. So, all right, so 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 again is 32. And 4 times 7 again is 28. So I got the 4 walls. Now, I'm just going to add everything. I'm going to go 56 plus 56 because I'm going to add the bases first, plus each of my walls. So I'm going to go plus 32 plus 28 plus 32 plus 28. And that gives me all the surface area happens to be 232. Pretty simple. Let's take a look at question number 6. The base in this case, the room is laying down. You guys can see the base is not quite at the bottom. You guys can see the base here. So I want to say that the bases in this case are 2 rectangles. For the area of each of those bases, I'm going to go 11 times 7. So each of the bases is 77. Because the base has 4 sides, I'm going to have 4 walls at the side. Let me label the 4 measurements of the base. One side is 11, the other side is 7. And I'm going to say this side at the bottom is 11, and this other side right here is 7. Let me find a number that has nothing to do with the bases. The distance between the two bases. In this case, 8. I'm going to multiply that 8 to each side of the bases. So I'm going to go 8 times 11, 8 times 7, 8 times 11 again, and 8 times 7 again. So 8 times each side of my bases. Now, just let me add all the areas. So I'm going to go 77 plus 77 plus 88 plus 56 plus 88 plus 56. And this is equal to 442. That's my answer. Let's take a look at question number 7. Let me identify the base. I can see the rectangle here. So I'm going to say the bases are 2 rectangles. For the area of that rectangle, I'm going 5 times 10. That's 50. So each of my rectangles is 50. Because the rectangle, the bases have 4 sides, this room is going to have 4 walls. Let's assume they're all rectangles. Okay. Now, let me identify the 4 measurements of my base. I see 5, 10. This other one here is 5, and this other one here is 10. Now, let me find the number that has nothing to do with the base. In this case, 8. And I'm going to multiply 8 times each side of my bases. So I'm going to go 8 times 5, 8 times 10, 8 times 5, and 8 times 10. Then I'm going to add all the bases, 50 plus 50, because I added the bases, plus 40, plus 80, plus 40, plus 80, and it gives me that all this is 340. Okay. One last example. Let's take a look at this rectangular prism. Let me identify the base. It's this rectangle here at the bottom. So the bases are 2 rectangles. For this case, I'm going to multiply the 2 numbers that meet at 90 degrees. So I'm going to go 11 times 6. I see this 90-degree corner here. 11 times 6. So each of my bases is 66. Let me label the 4 sides of the base. I see 11 and 6. This other side here is 11. This other side here is 6. Let me find a number that has nothing to do with the base. In this case, 6. All right, so I have 4 walls. Let me not forget that. And I'm going to go 6 times each side of the bases. So let me go 6 times 6. 6 times 11. 6 times 6. And 6 times 11. Now, I'm just going to add everything. 66 plus 66, because I'm adding the 2 bases, plus 36, plus 66, plus 36, plus 66, and it gives me 336. That's my answer. So all you have to worry about is 2 bases and a bunch of walls. If your base has 4 sides, then you have 4 walls at the side.